all coincidences with real people are random. If they tell you that this is not the case, ignore them. Aquaman, the king of Atlantis and defender of the oceans, always knew that the depths of the sea held more secrets than people could imagine. He had faced many threats, but this time it was different. The deep waters, as old as the world itself, began to tremble, and the silence that had reigned for centuries at the bottom of the ocean was broken. A call came from the darkness, a call so ancient that even the wisest of Atlanteans could not decipher it. Aquaman felt the disturbance. The waters carried with them a strange vibration, warning of an impending horror. He could not ignore it as the protector of the oceans. He had to find the source of this threat. Hearing strange whispers emanating from the deepest abysses, he set out on a solo journey in search of answers. His path lay in the most uncharted corners of the ocean, where no living creature had ever ventured. These waters were dark and icy, illuminated only by the faint glow of his trident. He descended deeper and deeper, approaching the legendary place, the Black Fissure, an ancient crack that had existed long before the first forms of life emerged. The Black Fissure was a place even the Atlanteans spoke of with fear. It was a crack in the very bottom of the ocean, an abyss where no light from any sun, not even magical, could penetrate. Darkness swirled around it, so thick it seemed to breathe. Legend said that something ancient, terrifying, and unimaginably powerful rested in this abyss, sealed away in the dark depths thousands of years ago. When Aquaman reached its edge, he felt it. Something that had awoken below stirred, emitting an ancient, hateful pulse. He scanned the dark waters before him but saw nothing. Yet his intuition told him the creature was not just stirring. It was approaching. Suddenly, the fissure began to vibrate, and massive waves rolled across the ocean floor. Black waters rose, and from the depths, something emerged. It was a monster of such scale and form that it defied description. Its body, shapeless and covered in tentacles, was several times larger than any creature Aquaman had ever seen. Enormous, lifeless eyes stared through him, plunging him into unspeakable fear. Aquaman quickly realized that this beast was not just a random monster from the depths. It was something ancient, locked away in the heart of the ocean thousands of years ago, so no one could awaken it. Its awakening meant the end not only for the oceans but for all life on Earth. "You should not have woken up," Aquaman shouted, aiming his trident at the creature. But the only answer was a deep, guttural roar that penetrated the soul. Terror gripped his mind. The creature moved forward, its tentacles reaching out like living shadows. Aquaman rushed to attack, trying to stop it with his trident, but the magic contained in his weapon seemed powerless against this primal force. One by one, his strikes had no effect on the monster. The creature's body absorbed the energy of the trident, turning it into strength. Aquaman was stunned. He had never before faced something so powerful and invincible. Aquaman felt cold fear grip his heart. This beast was the embodiment of an ancient, malevolent oceanic force, awakened from its age-old slumber. Every strike he made only strengthened the monster, and every moment of battle brought him closer to defeat. Giant tentacles stretched toward him, grabbing and squeezing him as if they were part of the ocean itself. Aquaman struggled with all his might, but the grip was unbearable. He realized that this was not just a monster, it was an ancient entity, controlled by forces older than time itself. The waters around him began to swirl, becoming thick and heavy, like viscous tar. He felt himself losing connection with the sea creatures. No one answered his call, not even the most powerful inhabitants of the ocean could help him here. The monster's tentacles wrapped around him, pulling him deeper into the abyss. Every movement caused pain in his body, and with every passing moment he realized that his strength was fading. The water around him was saturated with ancient magic, suppressing his abilities. The creature dragged him deeper into the fissure, where light no longer reached. Aquaman felt his body being consumed by darkness as oceanic pressure mounted, threatening to crush him. At that moment, he understood there was no escape. This place, it was not just the depths, it was a prison for something much older than he could have imagined. He looked at the creature, and suddenly images of the past flashed before his eyes: how Atlantis once ruled the ocean, how it was destroyed, how the oceans washed away ancient civilizations. The creature had been there since the beginning, and now it had returned to reclaim its power. Aquaman screamed, but the sound of his voice was drowned in the water. He felt the tentacles pulling him deeper, toward the center of the black fissure, where final darkness awaited him. His strength left him, and in the last moment he realized that he, the king of Atlantis, had become a victim of the very ocean he had sworn to protect. The monster dragged him into the abyss, and silence once again descended upon the ocean floor. Aquaman disappeared, and with him vanished the last hope for saving the world. The oceans once again plunged into eerie silence, but all the water's inhabitants felt that something had changed. Forces that had been sealed away thousands of years ago had awakened. In the depths of the ocean, strange phenomena began to occur. Currents became stronger. Fish and marine creatures began to flee from dark places that were once safe. But none of them knew that Aquaman had been defeated, that his battle for the ocean had ended in complete darkness. Ancient creatures, like the awakened monster, began to rise from the depths, gradually filling the ocean and spreading their horror. The forces of evil returned to the world, and no one knew how to fight them. The ocean was no longer safe. It had become home to monsters that could not be stopped. Darkness took over the oceans, and soon it would spread beyond them. The king of the oceans had fallen, and now the ancient forces once again began to rule the world.